This is the part of winter. Very, very early spring, where I can feel my energy body, my auric field is crying out for solar energy, for sunlight. This is the time of year, usually coming into March. I feel empty. I feel grey. I feel like I'm scraping at the bottom of the barrel, and my middle eye is looking towards the summer and the sunlight and the solar codes, the light codes coming back in and flooding my energy field and just giving me back that buzz for life again. I've always found the long winter hard, probably more than most. I truly believe that I'm a sun being, and I need to connect with the solar codes regularly for my physical and emotional energetic bodies to feel well. I had my first sun holiday during winter. We actually went in March, and that was 2 years ago. And it was marvelous, and it really showed me how this could be a thing that people do. People will take sun holidays at Christmas, or a lot of people go away in January. I know someone who takes the month of January abroad in Spain or somewhere that's tropical, warm, clear blue skies, because it gets very, very grey and wet and cold in Ireland in the middle of winter onwards. I feel the collective right now is just completely depleted with the excessive demanding attention information. I feel there's just way too much information. It's like being at a buffet that goes on for miles and miles and miles and miles and miles, and there's every kind of possible option, and you don't know your arse from your elbow because there's just too many cakes on the table. And sometimes, if we're unconscious, it's like we overconsume that energy. It's like eating the whole buffet and then making yourself sick. Or other times we're paralyzed looking at the buffet going, oh, but what about this? But what if I want that? But what? And the thing about life is, you can't go left and right. When you're at that crossroads, you're going to have to pick left or right. And if you pick left, there's probably going to be moments in time where you wonder what your life would have been like if you had gone right. It's like, do I have kids or do I not have kids? People who have kids are going to have moments where they wonder, I wonder what my life would have been like if I didn't have my child or my children. And then those of us who didn't have children, you're going to have moments where you go, God, I wonder what my life would have been like if I had children or a child, a family of my own. You see, the ego, the physical mind, the humanity part of us is always going to wonder what if. And in order to live a full life, it requires decision, and it requires choices and having to turn left or right. Otherwise, we stand paralyzed. And the sad truth is Some people can stand at that crossroads for years, for decades, totally paralyzed as to, what if I make a mistake? What if I choose the wrong thing? What if I make the wrong turn? The interesting thing is, whatever frequency that we are in right now, whatever frequency you're in, whatever mood, whatever vibe, whatever energy, usually, if there's two choices and you have to pick one right now, they're usually not going to be that different, because you're bringing you to whatever choice you take. So whether you take a left or whether you take a right, you're bringing your energy there. So whatever mood, vibe you're bringing is what you're going to add to that choice, to that pathway. So really, they're not going to be that different in the energetic value of what you are a match to, what you're attracting right now. That's good to know, because sometimes we can think, oh, they're vastly worlds apart, these two choices. The circumstances, the details, how it looks might be vastly different, but the energy of it isn't going to be completely worlds apart, because it can't, because you're the missing piece. And when you show up for left or right, you're bringing that energy to it. So in many ways, you have a lot of power, whether you take a right or a left. A right or a left. You actually have loads of power, because your energy, the power you bring to this decision, this choice, is what is going to make it. It is what is going to make it either work for you or not. And the great thing is, when something doesn't work out, we know then we're closer to what does. But we give ourselves such a hard time as humans. We beat ourselves up. Maybe we beat each other up as well. Maybe we say, I told you should have gone left and you went right. You know, there can be a lot of that. There can be friends and family as well who we feel embarrassed to say, you know, that choice I made, I didn't make the right choice. And truly, from the higher perspective, from the angelic perspective, it's all the right choice, because it's all living, it's all bringing you into a living of life experience, and it's bringing you closer to who you really are and what you really actually want. So every time we take that hit, we feel that punch in our gut of, oh man, I do not want this experience. This sucks right now. We're actually sending out beams and these thought forms of desire, as Abraham Hicks would call rockets of desire. We're sending that into our vortex of creation of what we do want. And we're actually solidifying, we're getting closer to the experiences that we do want to have. That's why, you know, with every relationship, you're carving the final relationship that you'll have. Because with every unwanted thing in a relationship, you are getting clearer about the kind of qualities you do want in a relationship, or experiences that you do want to have in your relationships. It's the same with friendships, it's the same with everything, it's the same with cake. If you have a cake that you don't like, you're closer to finding a cake that you do like. So we're back to the buffet, and we're back to all the cakes or all the food on this crazy 100-mile long buffet. And that's what the world is like right now. That's what our society is like. That's what our cultures are being built on. It's information overload. And for those of us who didn't grow up in that, it's foreign. It feels unnatural, and it feels artificial. And for those growing up in it, it's tough. It's very tough on the young ones, because they're not being exposed to a more natural way of living, where information comes timely and in a slower pace, so that we have a chance to actually reflect and digest on our options and on our life experiences. So I think if there's any way you can narrow down that information or strip away the excess, I think that's going to really benefit you right now. Maybe you need to take a break from the phone, or maybe you need to just decide, right, I'm only going to pick one person that I follow right now, and I'm going to stick with that for a while until I get bored or until I feel I've got all the juice out of it. Or maybe you just need a complete digital detox, no screens. I mean, I was in the dentist yesterday, and there's screens everywhere. I had to find a seat that was behind the back of the screen because I didn't want to sit with the screen blasting images and loud music at me the whole time I was waiting to see the dentist. We didn't consent to this information overload, and yet it's everywhere. You cannot, you walk into a shop, there's screens. It's the train station has screens. Because I'm a highly energetic being, I'm very, very sensitive, I'm psychic, I know it's not good for us. It's not good for our energy fields. And that's why we need to regularly go back into nature, walk on the ground that Mother Earth designed, not concrete, but the actual earth. Put your arms around a tree or sit and stand at the roots of the tree and just breathe with the tree. Simple things like that help to keep us sane and stable. This is just a message to remind you that just because there's hundreds of cakes on the buffet, you don't have to choose any of them. You don't have to overwhelm yourself. You can just check in with your body and see what you actually crave or want or truly need right now. Maybe you don't even need any cake. Maybe cake is not something that your body is asking for. Maybe your body is asking for pure water and sunshine. I think it's a time for us to really ground and to channel these overwhelming energies down our feet into the ground, and to remind ourselves that we always have choice and we don't have to blindly consume and follow these negative patterns of behavior, like doom scrolling and being overwhelmed with all different information from all sides, just because it's become normal. And it has. This addiction has been normalized. It's socially acceptable. It's totally fine. Again, I was walking home just there today from being out, and everybody going by was on their phone. Nobody was looking around. Nobody was present. Nobody was actually smiling and connecting and saying hello. There was one old man, that wasn't today, that was a few days ago, and he really stopped and made an effort. He was actually on a push thing, and he stopped and made an effort, and he said hello, and I said hello, and it was so nice. It was human to human, soul to soul. And I could tell this man is probably going, why is no one saying, why are young people not responding? Because their heads are down on their screens and their phones. So when I'm outside, I like to look at nature and say, real life, I want more of this real life. Because like everyone else during COVID, I got into bad habits with my phone. And it really, and again, it's not even the phone, it's not even the buffet. It's about, what do we do as sentient, sovereign beings with that? We have to take back our power and decide what feels right and feels good for us as individuals and as a collective. And if you're a parent, please take time to reflect on how your children are interacting with phones, with screens. Because it's going to have a big impact on their development, on their happiness, and on the future of the world. Ultimately, the devil is in the details, and the universe hinges on, there's little tiny hinges of the universe that we often think, oh, it's no big deal, just give them the screen, the iPad, the phone, let them entertain themselves for an hour or two. But, I think it's really helpful to bring consciousness into those choices, and not demonizing phones. I'm not demonizing buffets, but I'm using them as examples of how we can fall into negative patterns and behaviors, and then we lose a sense of responsibility. We lose a sense of our sovereignty. So this is a message to remind you, the power in me recognizes the power in you.